The interstellar war had dragged on for decades, leaving planets scorched and civilizations shattered. Humanity, part of the Galactic Alliance, was on the brink of defeat against the merciless Zorlak Empire. Commander Marcus Thorne stood on the bridge of the starship Valiant, watching the tactical display with grim determination. The blue holographic projection showed the relentless advance of the Zorlak fleet, represented by red triangles, encroaching on the Alliance's last defensive line. "Commander, the Zorlak fleet has breached our outer defenses," Lieutenant Ramirez reported, her voice steady despite the dire situation. She glanced at Marcus, her eyes reflecting the same resolve he felt. Marcus nodded, his jaw set. "Prepare for a counterattack. We can't let them take this sector." He turned to his communications officer. "Get me a direct line to General Valen." As the bridge crew scrambled to follow his orders, Marcus stared out at the vast expanse of space through the viewport. The stars seemed dimmer, as if they too sensed the impending doom. The Valiant shuddered as another Zorlak attack wave struck their shields. "Shields holding at 40%, reported Ensign Clark, his fingers flying over the controls. "Divert power from non-essential systems to the shields," Marcus ordered. He leaned closer to the tactical display, analyzing the enemy's formation. The Zorlak fleet moved with calculated precision, their tactics designed to overwhelm and demoralize. The holographic display flickered, and General Arya Valen's stern face appeared. "Marcus, we need to hold this line at all costs. If the Zorlak break through, Earth will be next." "We're giving it everything we've got, General," Marcus replied. "But their numbers are overwhelming. We need reinforcements." Valen's expression softened slightly, a rare glimpse of the burden she carried. "Reinforcements are scarce, Commander. We've deployed every available ship to hold other critical sectors." Marcus clenched his fists. "Then we need another solution, General, something they won't expect." Valen's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "There might be one option, but it's risky and untested. I'll brief you shortly. Hold the line, Marcus." The connection ended, and Marcus turned to his crew. "All hands, prepare for evasive maneuvers. We need to buy time until we hear from the General." The Alliance Council convened in a secure bunker on Earth. Desperation etched on every face. The holographic display in the center of the room showed the latest battlefield reports, planet after planet falling to the Zorlak onslaught. General Arya Valen, leader of the Council, stood at the head of the table, her voice commanding attention. "We have one last option," she began, her tone grave. "The Warbeasts. Genetic experiments conducted on Earth have yielded extraordinary results, but they are untested in real combat." Murmurs of unease rippled through the council members. Counselor Jarek, a grizzled veteran of many battles, spoke up. "General, deploying untested assets at this stage could be disastrous. What makes these Warbeasts so special?" Valen activated a holographic projection, displaying images and data of the Warbeasts. Massive creatures standing over 10 feet tall with muscles rippling under their thick hides. They were a blend of Earth's most formidable predators and advanced genetic enhancements. These Warbeasts possess unmatched strength, agility, and regenerative abilities, Valen explained. Their loyalty is hard-coded into their DNA. They will follow commands without hesitation. Counselor Yara, a scientist and skeptic, leaned forward. "And if they turn on us, what then?" Valen met Yara's gaze. "We've taken every precaution. Their neural implants ensure complete control. But I understand the risks. That's why I propose a limited deployment to test their effectiveness on a critical front." Marcus leaned forward, his voice firm. "We're out of options. Deploy them. We need every advantage we can get." The council members exchanged glances, the gravity of the decision weighing on them. Finally, Yarek nodded. "Let's hope your faith in these creatures is well placed, General." Valen turned to Marcus. "Commander Thorne, you'll lead the deployment. The Warbeasts will be under your direct command. Ensure they succeed." Marcus stood and saluted. "Understood, General. I'll make sure they deliver." As the council adjourned, Marcus felt a mix of hope and trepidation. The Warbeasts represented their last, desperate gamble. If they failed, humanity's chances of survival would plummet. But if they succeeded, they might just turn the tide of the war. He made his way to the secure facility where the Warbeasts were being prepared. As he entered, the sight of the immense creatures, now fully awakened and ready for battle, filled him with a renewed sense of determination. Dr. Lydia Chen, head scientist of the Warbeast program, approached him. "Commander, the Warbeasts are ready for deployment," she said. "Their performance in the simulations has been outstanding." Marcus nodded. "Let's hope their performance in the real battle is just as impressive. We need them to succeed." Chen smiled confidently. "They will. We've engineered them for this very purpose. They won't let us down." As Marcus watched the Warbeasts being loaded onto dropships, he knew that the next few hours would determine the fate of the entire Galactic Alliance. The Warbeasts were their last, best hope against the Zorlak onslaught, and he was determined to lead them to victory. Dr. Lydia Chen, head scientist of the Warbeast program, briefed Marcus. "These Warbeasts are the pinnacle of our genetic engineering. Their strength, speed, and regenerative abilities surpass anything we've ever seen. They are designed to be the perfect soldiers." Marcus nodded, his gaze shifting to the Warbeasts. "How do we control them?" Chen pointed to a device on her wrist. "Neural implants. They ensure complete obedience. You'll have direct command over them." Marcus approached the largest of the Warbeasts, a hulking creature with dark, leathery skin and piercing yellow eyes. It regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and understanding. "Are you ready for this?" Marcus asked, more to himself than to the beast. The Warbeast growled softly, as if in response. Marcus turned to his team. "Load them up. We're deploying immediately." The Warbeasts were loaded onto massive dropships, their immense forms barely fitting inside. Soldiers and scientists watched in awe and apprehension as the beasts settled into their transport pods. Marcus stood at the head of the operation, his mind racing with the enormity of the task ahead. As the dropships launched into the sky, Marcus addressed his crew. "This is our last stand. We use the Warbeasts to break through the Zorlak lines and push them back. Failure is not an option." The Valiant led the fleet into hyperspace, heading towards the battlefront. Marcus watched the stars blur past, his thoughts focused on the coming conflict. The Warbeasts represented humanity's final hope, and he was determined to see them succeed. The dropships descended onto the contested planet of Xandor, the atmosphere burning around them as they penetrated the thick clouds of smoke and ash from ongoing battles. The ground shook with the reverberations of artillery fire. Marcus watched from the command center, issuing final orders to his troops. "All units, prepare for deployment. The Warbeasts will lead the charge. Follow their lead and push through the enemy lines." As the dropships touched down, the doors opened with a hiss, and the Warbeasts surged forward, their massive forms moving with surprising agility. The battlefield was a scene of chaos, with Zorlak soldiers entrenched in fortified positions. The Warbeasts roared, a terrifying sound that echoed across the plains, and charged into the fray. The first Zorlak positions crumbled under the onslaught. Warbeasts tore through barricades and enemy troops with ease. Marcus, watching through his tactical display, saw the Zorlak lines buckle under the pressure. "Commander, the Warbeasts are making significant progress," Lieutenant Ramirez reported, her voice filled with awe. "Good. Keep pressing the attack. Don't give the Zorlak a chance to regroup," Marcus replied, his eyes never leaving the display. On the ground, the Warbeasts moved like a force of nature. One of the largest, a creature with crimson-tinted scales, ripped through a Zorlak battle tank with its claws, tossing the wreckage aside as if it were a toy. Behind it, Alliance soldiers followed, firing their weapons and securing positions. The Zorlak, caught off guard by the ferocity and power of the Warbeasts, began to falter. Their lines broke, and panic spread among their ranks. Marcus seized the moment. "All units, advance. Break their lines and drive them back." The Warbeasts continued their rampage, decimating Zorlak forces and clearing a path for the Alliance troops. Marcus coordinated the assault from the command center, directing reinforcements and ensuring supply lines remained intact. As the battle raged, Marcus felt a surge of hope. The Warbeasts were exceeding expectations, their presence turning the tide of battle. He watched as the Zorlak retreated, their forces in disarray. "Commander, We've breached their primary defenses, Ramirez reported, excitement in her voice. Marcus allowed himself a rare smile. Excellent work. Push forward and secure the area. We've got them on the run. The first strike had been a resounding success. The Warbeasts had proven their worth, and the Zorlak were on the defensive. But Marcus knew the battle was far from over. This was just the beginning of a long and grueling campaign to reclaim their territory and defeat the Zorlak once and for all. As the smoke cleared and the battlefield quieted, Marcus took a deep breath. The Warbeasts had given them a fighting chance, and he was determined to make the most of it. The war was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, victory seemed within reach. "Commander, the Zorlak fleet is in disarray," Lieutenant Ramirez reported, her voice tinged with disbelief. "They're retreating." Marcus allowed himself a rare smile. "We have them on the run. Press the advantage." On the ground, the Warbeasts continued their rampage, their raw power and ferocity unmatched. They tore through Zorlak fortifications with ease, clearing a path for the Alliance soldiers who followed in their wake. The Zorlak, unprepared for such a brutal counterattack, were being driven back on all fronts. "Commander, reports from the ground indicate the Warbeasts are outperforming all expectations," Ramirez said, her fingers flying over her console as she relayed updates. "Our forces are advancing steadily." "Good. We need to keep the pressure on." "The Zorlak can't be allowed to regroup," Marcus replied, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. He turned to his communications officer. "Get me a line to General Valen." The screen flickered, and General Arya Valen's face appeared. "Commander Thorne, I see your Warbeasts are making quite the impact." "They're turning the tide, General. We need to capitalize on this momentum and launch a full-scale assault," Marcus said, his voice filled with determination. Valen nodded. "Agreed. I'll dispatch reinforcements to support your advance. Keep me updated." As the connection ended, Marcus felt a surge of determination. They had a chance to turn the tide of the entire war. He turned to Ramirez. "Prepare our forces for a full-scale assault. We're taking the fight to the Zorlak." The Alliance fleet, bolstered by the success of the Warbeasts, launched a coordinated attack on key Zorlak positions across multiple sectors. The Warbeasts, now fully integrated into the Alliance's battle plans, led the charge. On the ground, Marcus joined the assault, leading his team alongside the Warbeasts. The once invincible Zorlak forces were being pushed back, their defenses crumbling under the combined might of the Warbeasts and the Alliance troops. "Stay close and keep moving," Marcus ordered his squad as they advanced through the shattered remnants of a Zorlak stronghold. "We break through their defenses and take the command center." The Warbeasts smashed through walls and enemy troops, their raw power clearing a path for the soldiers. The Zorlak, caught off guard by the ferocity of the attack, were quickly overwhelmed. "Commander Thorne, we have visual on the main gate," reported Sergeant Davis, pointing to the heavily fortified entrance of the Zorlak command center. Marcus nodded. "All units, focus fire on the gate. Warbeasts, take point and clear us a path." The Warbeasts roared in response, charging forward with unstoppable force. They slammed into the gate, their massive bodies acting as living battering rams. The gate buckled and twisted under the assault, and within moments it gave way with a thunderous crash. "Move in," Marcus shouted, leading his team through the breach. The Warbeasts stormed ahead, engaging Zorlak troops in brutal close-quarters combat. The enemy fought with desperate tenacity, but they were no match for the sheer power and ferocity of the Warbeasts. Marcus and his team moved through the corridors, clearing rooms and securing positions. The sounds of battle echoed through the halls, a constant reminder of the fierce resistance they faced. "Commander, we've located the command center," Ramirez's voice crackled over the comms. "Understood. We're on our way," Marcus replied. He turned to his squad. "Let's finish this." As they approached the command center, the resistance intensified. Zorlak soldiers, realizing the gravity of their situation, fought with renewed vigor. Marcus's team took cover, returning fire and advancing inch by inch. "Warbeasts, focus on the heavy gunners," Marcus ordered, pointing to a fortified position at the end of the corridor. The Warbeasts charged, their brute strength smashing through the enemy's defenses and neutralizing the threat. With the path clear, Marcus and his team stormed the command center, The room was filled with Zorlak officers and tactical displays. Marcus raised his weapon. "Surrender, and you might live to see another day." The Zorlak officers hesitated, their eyes darting between Marcus and the imposing warbeasts. One of them, a high-ranking commander, stepped forward, his expression defiant. "We will never surrender to the likes of you." "Your choice," Marcus replied, his voice cold. "Warbeasts, take them down." The warbeasts lunged forward, and the room erupted into chaos. In a matter of moments, the Zorlak officers were subdued, their command structure shattered. "Commander, the stronghold is secure," Ramirez reported. "We've routed the remaining Zorlak forces." Marcus took a deep breath, the weight of the moment settling over him. "Good work, everyone. We've taken a critical position. Now we press the advantage and push the Zorlak out of this sector for good." Xandor Prime, a heavily fortified Zorlak world, was the next target. The planet was critical to the Zorlak supply chain, and taking it would cripple their war effort. Marcus devised a plan to use the warbeasts to penetrate the planet's formidable defenses. The Valiant and its accompanying fleet approached Xandor Prime, bracing for the inevitable resistance. The planet's surface bristled with defensive installations, and the space around it was thick with enemy ships. Marcus stood on the bridge, issuing commands. "Prepare for planetary assault. Warbeasts will lead the initial strike. Our objective is to take out their primary defense grid," Marcus said, his voice steady. Lieutenant Ramirez looked at him with a mixture of concern and determination. "Commander, are you sure about this? The defenses are the strongest we've faced." Marcus nodded, his eyes never leaving the tactical display. "It's our best shot. We need to end this war quickly." The dropships, loaded with warbeasts and elite alliance troops, launched from the fleet. As they descended through the atmosphere, anti-aircraft fire filled the sky. The warbeasts roared, their anticipation palpable. "Hold tight," Marcus shouted over the comms. "We're almost there." The dropships hit the ground hard, their doors blasting open. The warbeasts surged forward, charging directly at the defensive lines. The Zorlak, entrenched and ready, opened fire. But the warbeasts were unstoppable. They smashed through barriers and turrets, their immense strength and resilience rendering the defenses ineffective. Marcus and his team followed close behind, moving through the chaos with practiced efficiency. "Focus on the power generators," Marcus ordered. "Without them, their defenses will crumble." The warbeasts tore through the facility, their raw power unmatched. They ripped apart the power generators, causing massive explosions that sent shockwaves through the enemy lines. The defensive grid flickered and died, leaving the Zorlak vulnerable. "Commander, the defense grid is down," Ramirez reported. "Our fleet is moving in." Marcus watched as the Alliance fleet began its bombardment of the now exposed enemy positions. "Good. All units advance. Secure the area and push the Zorlak back." The warbeasts led the charge, their ferocity unmatched. The Zorlak, caught off guard by the sudden loss of their defenses, fell into disarray. Marcus and his team pressed forward, clearing out the remaining pockets of resistance. As the warbeasts rampaged through Zorlak lines, a new enemy emerged. Elite Zorlak warriors, genetically modified to counter the warbeasts, engaged them in brutal combat. These warriors, larger and more formidable than any previously encountered, fought with a terrifying intensity. "Commander, these Zorlak elites are holding their ground," Ramirez warned. "They're different." Marcus watched the fierce battles unfolding, noting the elites' tactics and resilience. "We need to adapt, focus our attacks on their weaknesses." The warbeasts and Zorlak elites clashed, the ground shaking with the force of their blows. The elites were equipped with energy weapons and armor designed to withstand the warbeasts' strength. It was a brutal, even match. "Target their joints and exposed areas," Marcus commanded. "Overwhelm them with coordinated strikes." The warbeasts adjusted their tactics, using their superior numbers and teamwork to exploit the elites' vulnerabilities. One by one, the Zorlak elites began to fall, but not without inflicting heavy casualties on the warbeasts. "Commander, we've lost several warbeasts," Sergeant Davis reported, his voice grim. "But we're making progress." Marcus gritted his teeth. "We can't afford to lose momentum. Keep pushing." The battle raged on, the warbeasts slowly gaining the upper hand. The Zorlak elites, despite their formidable abilities, were ultimately outmatched by the relentless assault. As the last of the elites fell, a hush descended over the battlefield. "Commander, we've done it," Ramirez said, relief evident in her voice. "The Zorlak elites are defeated." Marcus nodded, surveying the scene. The cost had been high, but they had prevailed. "Secure the area and tend to the wounded. We need to regroup and prepare for the next phase." As the Warbeasts and soldiers regrouped, Marcus took a moment to reflect. The Zorlak had clearly anticipated their tactics and adapted, creating a new threat to counter the Warbeast. It was a reminder that their enemy was both cunning and relentless. Dr. Lydia Chen's voice came through the comms. "Commander, I've been analyzing the data from the battle. The Zorlak elites were specifically designed to counter the Warbeasts. We need to stay ahead of their adaptations." Marcus nodded, already thinking ahead. "Understood, Doctor. Begin working on improvements. We need to be ready for whatever they throw at us next." The Alliance fleet converged on Tharn, the Zorlak Empire's capital world. Marcus led the assault, knowing this battle would decide the war's outcome. Tharn was a fortress, its defenses among the most formidable in the galaxy. The Zorlak had concentrated their remaining forces here, preparing for a final stand. As the fleet emerged from hyperspace, the view from the bridge of the Valiant revealed the planet's surface bristling with weaponry and swarming with enemy ships. Marcus stood resolute, issuing commands with the calm precision of a seasoned commander. "All units, prepare for the final push," Marcus commanded. "We take Tharn, and we end this war." The dropships, filled with Warbeasts and elite soldiers, launched from the fleet. The descent to the planet was turbulent, anti-aircraft fire filling the sky. The dropships weaved through the barrage, their shields straining to hold. "Brace for impact," Marcus shouted as they approached the landing zone. The ships hit the ground hard, and the doors blasted open, releasing the Warbeasts into the chaos of battle. The Warbeasts charged forward, smashing through the Zorlak defenses with relentless fury. Marcus and his team followed, engaging in fierce combat with the entrenched enemy forces. The air was thick with the sounds of battle, explosions, gunfire, and the roars of the Warbeasts. "Commander, the Zorlak are putting up a fierce resistance," Ramirez reported, firing her weapon at a group of advancing soldiers. "They're not giving an inch." Marcus nodded, his expression determined. "Keep pushing. We need to break through to the command center." The Warbeasts tore through the enemy lines, their sheer power overwhelming the Zorlak defenders. Marcus and his team advanced methodically, clearing out bunkers and securing key positions. The battle was intense, with casualties mounting on both sides. As they approached the heavily fortified command center, the resistance grew even fiercer. The Zorlak had concentrated their best troops here, determined to hold their ground. "Warbeasts, focus on the heavy fortifications," Marcus ordered. "Soldiers, follow me. We need to breach the command center." The Warbeasts surged forward, slamming into the reinforced walls and tearing through the defenses. Marcus led his team through the breach, engaging in brutal close-quarters combat with the Zorlak soldiers inside. Marcus and his team infiltrated the Zorlak command center, battling through fortified positions. The Warbeasts cleared a path, but the resistance was fierce. The command center was a labyrinth of corridors and rooms, each one a potential death trap. "Stay sharp," Marcus urged his team. "We're close." They moved through the corridors, encountering heavy resistance at every turn. The Zorlak defenders were well prepared, fighting with the desperation of those who knew they were defending their last stronghold. "Commander, we've located the War Council chamber," Ramirez said, pointing to a reinforced door at the end of a corridor. "All units, prepare for breach," Marcus ordered. "This is it." The Warbeasts positioned themselves at the door, and with a coordinated effort, they smashed it open. Marcus and his team stormed inside, weapons ready. The chamber was filled with Zorlak officers, including General Koth, the Zorlak commander. Koth stood at the center of the room, his expression defiant. "Your Warbeasts won't save you," he sneered. Marcus raised his weapon, stepping forward. "We'll see about that." The room erupted into chaos as Warbeasts and soldiers clashed with the Zorlak leaders. The battle was intense, with both sides fighting with everything they had. Marcus engaged Koth directly, their weapons clashing in a fierce duel. "You underestimate us, human," Koth growled, swinging his energy blade at Marcus. Marcus parried the blow, countering with a swift strike. "And you underestimated our resolve." The battle raged on, the Warbeasts tearing through the Zorlak officers while Marcus fought Koth. The general was a formidable opponent, his skill and strength evident in every move. But Marcus fought with the determination of someone who knew the fate of his people rested on his shoulders. With a final decisive strike, Marcus disarmed Koth and brought him to his knees. "It's over, Koth," Marcus said, his voice steady. "Surrender." Koth looked up at him, his eyes filled with hatred. "Never." Marcus sighed, knowing what he had to do. With a swift motion, he ended the Zorlak general's life. The room fell silent. The battle won. "Commander, we've secured the command center," Ramirez reported, her voice filled with relief. Marcus took a deep breath, the weight of their victory settling over him. "Good work, everyone. We've done it." As the Alliance forces secured the area and began the process of stabilizing the planet, Marcus looked out over the battlefield. The Warbeasts had proven their worth once again, leading them to a decisive victory. The Zorlak Empire was defeated, their stronghold taken. The war was over, but the cost had been high. Many lives had been lost, and the scars of battle would take time to heal. But for the first time in years, peace seemed possible. Marcus knew that the path ahead would be challenging, but with the Warbeasts by their side, humanity had a chance to rebuild and create a better future. In the War Council chamber, Marcus faced General Koth, the Zorlak commander. The chamber was a stark contrast to the chaos outside, its opulent decor a testament to the Zorlak's former dominance. Now it was the heart of their last stand. Koth stood tall, his eyes burning with defiance. "Your Warbeasts won't save you," he sneered, his voice echoing in the chamber. Marcus, his weapon ready, took a step forward. "We'll see about that." His words were calm, but his resolve was unshakable. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The tension was palpable, the air thick with the weight of imminent battle. Koth's elite guards, formidable warriors in their own right, moved to intercept Marcus and his team. The Warbeasts, sensing the hostility, roared and charged forward, their massive forms crashing into the Zorlak elites. The room erupted into chaos. Warbeasts and soldiers clashed with the Zorlak guards, the sounds of battle echoing through the chamber. Marcus moved with purpose, his every action precise and lethal. He fought his way through the guards, his focus on reaching Koth. Koth drew a massive energy blade, its edge crackling with deadly power. He swung it at Marcus, the force of the blow shattering a nearby pillar. Marcus ducked and countered, his own blade flashing in the dim light. "You've underestimated us," Marcus said, parrying another strike. "And now you'll pay the price." Koth's eyes narrowed. "Arrogant human, your kind will fall." The duel was fierce, each combatant skilled and unyielding. Koth's strength and rage were matched by Marcus's skill and determination. Around them, the battle raged, the Warbeasts tearing through the remaining Zorlak forces. As the fight continued, Marcus found an opening. With a swift, decisive strike, he disarmed Koth, sending his blade clattering to the floor. Marcus pointed his weapon at Koth's chest. "Surrender, and your men might live." Koth sneered, his eyes filled with contempt. "Never." Marcus sighed, knowing what he had to do. With a final thrust, he ended Koth's life. The Zorlak commander fell, his body hitting the ground with a heavy thud. The room fell silent, the battle won. "Commander, we've secured the command center," Ramirez reported, her voice tinged with relief and exhaustion. Marcus looked around, taking in the sight of their hard-fought victory. "Good work, everyone. We've done it." "We did it," Ramirez said quietly, stepping beside Marcus. "But the cost was high." Marcus nodded, his expression somber. "We've paid dearly, but we had no choice. We had to end this war." Outside the command center, the Warbeasts and soldiers regrouped, tending to the wounded and securing the area. The once invincible Zorlak Empire lay in ruins, their forces defeated and their leadership decimated. "Commander, we've received word from General Valen," Ramirez reported. "She's en route to Tharn to oversee the transition and begin peace talks." Marcus looked out at the devastated landscape, the fires of battle still smoldering. Let's make sure everything is secure. We need to start rebuilding, and fast. The Warbeasts, despite their losses, stood as a testament to the power and resilience of the Alliance. Their role in the victory was undeniable, their sacrifices etched into the fabric of this historic moment. As the survivors gathered, there was a sense of both mourning and triumph. General Arya Valen arrived shortly after, her presence bringing a renewed sense of purpose and direction. She approached Marcus, her expression a mix of pride and sorrow. "Commander Thorn, your leadership and the bravery of your troops have brought us to this moment. The Zorlak Empire is no more." Marcus nodded, his thoughts heavy with the memories of those lost. "It was a collective effort, General. The Warbeasts were instrumental. We couldn't have done it without them." Valen placed a hand on his shoulder. "Their sacrifice, and yours, will not be forgotten. We have a long road ahead, but this is a new beginning for the Galactic Alliance." As the Alliance forces began the process of rebuilding and stabilizing Tharn, Marcus took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought them here. The war had been long and brutal, but through perseverance and the extraordinary power of the Warbeasts, they had achieved the impossible. Marcus looked at the Warbeasts, now resting and recovering from the battle. Dr. Lydia Chen approached, her face lined with fatigue, but lit with a sense of accomplishment. "Commander, the Warbeasts have proven themselves beyond our expectations. Their loyalty and strength were key to our success." "They were incredible," Marcus agreed. "We owe them everything." Dr. Chen nodded. "We'll continue to improve and care for them. They are a part of our future now." As the sun set on Tharn, casting long shadows over the battlefield, Marcus felt a sense of closure. The war was over, but the journey of healing and rebuilding had just begun. With the Warbeasts by their side, humanity and their allies stood ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold. The victory at Tharn marked the end of an era of conflict and the beginning of a new era of cooperation and peace. Marcus knew that the sacrifices made today would pave the way for a brighter tomorrow, one where the Galactic Alliance could thrive in the newfound peace they had fought so hard to achieve. With the Zorlak Empire defeated, the Galactic Alliance began the long process of rebuilding. The task was immense. Cities lay in ruins, economies were shattered, and countless lives had been lost. Marcus and the remaining Warbeasts were hailed as heroes, their contributions celebrated across the galaxy. The once bustling military command center on Earth had been transformed into a hub for reconstruction efforts. Holographic displays showed progress on various fronts, rebuilding infrastructure, restoring communications, and providing aid to war-torn planets. Marcus walked through the busy corridors, his mind already focused on the next steps. "Commander Thorn, the Council wants to see you," Ramirez said, falling into step beside him. "They're convening in the main chamber." Marcus nodded. "Let's not keep them waiting." In the Council chamber, General Arya Valen and other key leaders were deep in discussion. Valen looked up as Marcus entered, a smile breaking through her usually stern demeanor. "Commander Thorn, please join us." Marcus took his place at the table, the weight of recent events still heavy on his shoulders. "General, what's the latest?" Valen activated a holographic map of the galaxy. "Reconstruction is progressing, but we face numerous challenges. The Zorlak left behind a lot of devastation. However, we've also had breakthroughs. The Warbeasts' impact has been incredible. Their presence has deterred potential uprisings and stabilized regions faster than anticipated." Counselor Jarek, an old ally, leaned forward. "Commander, the Warbeasts are not just weapons. They are symbols of our resilience and strength. We've begun integrating them into our defense and rebuilding efforts. Their capabilities extend beyond combat." Marcus nodded. "They've earned their place. But we must ensure their well-being and proper integration into society." Dr. Lydia Chen entered the chamber, her face lit with excitement. "We've made significant strides in understanding and enhancing the Warbeasts. They can assist in heavy lifting, construction, and even medical support. Their regenerative abilities are being studied to improve our medical technologies." Valen turned to Marcus. "Your leadership in the field was instrumental, but we need your guidance in this new era as well. Will you help oversee the integration of the Warbeasts into our reconstruction efforts?" Marcus felt a sense of purpose reignite within him. I will. Together, we'll build a stronger, united future.